Chicago's last mayor, Rahm Emanuel, was on the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. Emanuel went before the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee to seek lawmakers' blessings to be the country's ambassador to Japan. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with the latest. Amanda, this hearing took place on a significant day. Tell us about it.
Yes, Paris, today's confirmation hearing took place 7 years to the very day since 17-year-old Laquan McDonald's murder. That gruesome anniversary was brought up by the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee in his introductory remarks.
My heart goes out to his family on this day. I believe all of us share that sentiment. And to so many other victims and their families as we work to deliver meaningful reforms to the Black and brown communities who endure injustices every day.
That opened a window for Emanuel to address the issue head on.
I said then, I'm the mayor, and I'm responsible and accountable for fixing this so this never happens again. And to be honest, there's not a day or a week that has gone by in the last 7 years I haven't thought about this and thought about the what-ifs and the changes and what could have been. And I think we all know that over the last 10 years, there's not a city in this country, regardless of size, that hasn't dealt with the gulf between police activities and the oversight and accountability that's necessary. And Chicago's no different.
It has been nearly 2.5 years since Rahm Emanuel left Chicago City Hall, but today made clear the defining event from his term, the murder of a Black teenager by a Chicago police officer, haunts him as Emanuel eyes his next political post. Still, Emanuel is going into this confirmation process with some serious backing. He was introduced by Illinois' senior U.S. Senator. Dick Durbin says they go back more than 30 years. Durbin calls Emanuel bright, energetic, and focused, and says he's the right man for the job.
Any mayor who can cobble together a budget in the Chicago City Council is ready for major league diplomacy. He has repeatedly shown that he can build winning coalitions at every level.
And what one other member of the committee noted was a sign of Emanuel's diplomatic skills, a Republican senator, the last ambassador to Japan, also introduced and endorsed Emanuel.
While our political backgrounds couldn't be more different, I'm sure there are many issues upon which we strongly disagree. But through our recent discussions, it's become clear to me that Mayor Emanuel shares my unwavering conviction that the U.S.-Japan relationship is the cornerstone for peace and prosperity in the entire Indo-Pacific region.
Back in Chicago, there is an active campaign asking senators to reject Rahm when it's time to vote. Organizers also calling on President Joe Biden to withdraw the nomination, in part for Emanuel's role in what they say was a cover-up of McDonald's murder.
The appointment of Rahm Emanuel is a slap in the face of the Black community in Chicago. We'll never forget or forgive that he covered up the police murder of a 17-year-old Laquan McDonald to get himself reelected. Making the appointment on the anniversary of the day that Laquan was murdered adds insult to injury.
A group of progressive elected officials from Illinois and Chicago sent a letter to the Foreign Relations Committee saying that to bestow this honor upon Rahm Emanuel would be an act of disgrace to our state and our nation and would tarnish the U.S. Department of State. One senator used that letter as entree to a tense line of questioning about Emanuel's role in keeping private the McDonald police dash cam video. Now, in his remarks, Emanuel both apologized, but he also defended his role, saying he did take steps toward reform. He said that they were only marginal, that he misread the level of distrust of the police. He pointed out he does have the support of McDonald's great uncle, also of Chicago's Black City Council members, who also sent the committee a letter, this one in support.
The mayor was not the one that went out there and pulled the trigger on this young man. That individual is currently serving a term of incarceration in the federal penitentiary. So I think that it's incumbent upon us to see what is in the best interest of the United States of America. And I believe supporting President Biden's decision is in the best interest of Chicago and the best interest of the United States.
But Chicago and Keena Collins says the Black Caucus, many of whom's members voted for a settlement with the McDonald family without calling for the video of his murder to be made public, are not the city's moral compass.
The violence that Rahm Emanuel has inflicted on the Black and Brown communities and working class communities in the city of Chicago, I think deem him as unfit to get an international platform. We are talking about a mayor who conducted the largest public school shutdown in American history, eviscerated our mental health services, and just basically greased the palms and lined the pockets of millionaires and billionaires while working class families suffered.
She and other Emanuel critics say that it was a misstep by Biden to nominate Emanuel. Regardless of any of that, they say the post of the ambassadorship should go to a qualified Japanese American. Biden's press secretary was asked about all of this during today's briefing.
I don't have any record of him speaking with him necessarily through the process. He didn't speak with every ambassadorial nominee. Obviously, he's somebody who he was familiar with. He knew his record longstanding prior to the nomination.
And the White House has expressed confidence in Emanuel's nomination winning Senate approval, even if progressive Democrats in the U.S. Senate vote against the former Chicago mayor, Illinois congressperson, and chief of staff to former President Barack Obama. Well, Emanuel does have that backing from Republicans. With that, Paris, back to you.
All right, Amanda, thanks very much.